And welcome, everyone, to the next stop of the National STOL 2024 season. We're here at the Military Aviation Museum in Virginia Beach, Virginia, for Heritage STOL. We've got a great crowd gathering here at this very special place, and I am joined on the mic with Museum Director Keegan Chetwynd and Museum Volunteer Coordinator and Curator, say that 5 times fast, Zach Boffman. And we are so excited, everyone, to have you here both in person and online for some great STOL flying action with a few, may I call them, warbird interruptions. All day today, you're going to see some amazing pilots flying amazingly just for you. And so we want you to let them know. You want to give their appreciation to them.
So the airplane that you're seeing taking off right now is a 1942 Taylorcraft L2. L stands for liaison airplane. Liaison aircraft are small, light aircraft that were used for reconnaissance, artillery spotting, air ambulance, package and message delivery.
Okay, it's time to kick off the adventure class. Let's get our lineup for you today here. We've got Keith Lang in the 1956 Piper Super Cub. We've got James Barkheimer in a 2009 Cub Crafters EX2. Adam Gordon, 2015 Cub Crafters EX2. And Jeff McMahon, 2011 Murphy Super Rebel. And let's do a weather check right now as the green flag has been waved. The wind currently, our station's reading 0 knots from 56 degrees. The turf is nice and dry, a little humid, and our density altitude below 0. So good conditions, very different from flying up in the mountains. Yesterday we had a direct crosswind almost the entire day. And yeah, look at those flags. Not a lot of action on Keith Lang now. Wishing for a little more wind, probably. Here's James, tail up high, wagging that rudder back and forth, and he's off nice and short. And Keegan, you mentioned the cargo pod. They've been proven, I don't know, maybe in quotes. There's Adam now off short, similar to James.
It's amazing to me to see how these airplanes have been refined, redeveloped. You know, they're essentially a very similar airplane, but, you know, aerodynamically taken to an extreme.
And here's Jeff McMahon in the 2022 Ryan Murphy Super Cup. Here's Keith Lang now hanging it. A little risky for a first one. Good over the line, though. Getting those brakes locked up.
The airplane that started our whole collection is a Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, so there'll be an opportunity to check that airplane out as well. And we talked briefly yesterday, but I have this belief that the Navy is the masters of short takeoff and landing, necessitated by their ability to perform from a boat. You know, aircraft carriers today utilize catapults, arrestor gear. We do have one in the collection, but it isn't here at the museum yet. You know, they overmatched airplanes like the Wildcat, and it really was through courage alone and advanced tactics that we were able to best some mechanically superior airplanes. So
James currently in first place with a combined score of 178. Keith Lang with 203. Right around 98 feet-ish landing. Here's Adam Gordon now. Pulled a little early. Releasing them for spacing, and then now I think he's been released, and he was like, oh wait, there's a little tickle on the flags there, I'm going to take it. And look at that, we were a little bit shorter for him. 106 was his first takeoff. High alpha, down over the line, and couldn't have done that more textbook. In case you're wondering, 85 was his first one, 111 feet was his second takeoff, but he's coming in nice and slow. Good over the line. Lexi is waving the checkered flag. What was the horsepower of the L2?
A whopping 65 horsepower.
That's very different from Adam Gordon here.
You could certainly understand the utility of airplanes like this and techniques like this, and you know, kind of unforgiving and harsh conditions out in the west.
Ooh, McMahon there, getting a little sporty, but he got it under control.
You know, utility of bush planes, being able to get people in and out, being able to go hunting, fishing.
Huge Huge tail high, pulled maybe a little early. So hard to tell in this light wind whether or not you've got the speed.
Collection. It's pretty wild to imagine that they'd be able to land in the width of an airplane.
Here's James now, tail nice and high, and it timed it exactly right off into the air. A little less aggressive on the tail, pulls it a little too soon. Catch up with your collection. He's got a 1975 Cessna 210, a Maul, and an experimental Cub Crafters. Keith now really hanging it out. You can see the wings dropping. He's working those control surfaces. Tail's touching. Oh, a scratch for Keith Lang. Just a little too short. James Barkheimer. A little bit higher of an approach this time. Getting that tail touch. Boom, right over the line. Couldn't have got that more textbook. He had to let up on the brakes just a little bit to keep the tail from going too high. Too short for Adam Gordon. You can see the heartbreak on her face when she's got to call the scratch. Jeff McMahon, super high, gave up a lot of footage to the landing. He's going to get it rolled out. Oh. Well done. It's time for the final lap, everybody. Here's Keith Lang. He's going for it. Exactly timed right. Look how high he got the tail there. He's trying to do the air stay connected to the wing longer. That's my best aeronautical engineer explanation. Here's James Barkheimer getting the flaps down. He's off nice and short. Feels like he's still pulling a little early.
And they unfold the wings for the Wildcat is a pretty special treat. They're not hydraulically actuated, so they've got to be done manually on the ground before the airplane taxis out. Slogan of Aviation Protected definitely speaks to our priorities and preservation of the aircraft. So that was a good one. No, I'm drawn into it as well. That are just as at home as we are out here watching and enjoying this stuff, because the team at LAD just gets it. And
I'm sorry, I can't help but react.
No, I wonder if he has Lad Gardner too.
Adam Gordon needs another one on the board. He's safe over the line, giving up some feet there. Heavy on the brakes, getting it stopped. And that all but seals it for McMahon in third place now. Good over the line. Nice landing for Jeff McMahon.
Gentlemen, in my hand I have the scores. Do you know what they are? You don't? Oh, this is exciting! Okay, everyone, in adventure class, in third place, with a combined score of 195 feet, Jeff McMahon, with a combined score of 177 feet, Keith Lang. And in first place, with a combined score of 154 feet, James Barkheimer. How was it out there for you today?
Honestly, towards the end, it was a bit shifty. The wind started getting up above the trees, and I'm sure y'all saw me dip a wing maybe once back there, but at the line, the wind was good. It was fun. Love flying with these guys. There's nobody better to be with.
Anyone you want to say hi to before we head off to the next class?
Definitely my wife and kids. They're watching at home. And all these guys and gals watching here, and the kiddos, love seeing y'all here, and we greatly appreciate it.
That's just the first class. Congratulations, guys. Adam Gordon, awesome performance as well.
I'm just here to support everybody, guys.
He said, I'm just here to support everybody. We've got more STOL flying in just a minute. We'll be back with you soon. Thanks so much, everybody.
And we are back, folks. What an exciting first class, the adventure class. And guess what? It just gets more exciting from here. It's time for the backcountry class here at the Military Aviation Museum. By the way, I didn't get to hang out with you guys during the S&J. That was pretty dope. That was pretty cool. I liked seeing that. That was a lot of fun. Let's look at our lineup for the backcountry class today, brought to you by Lad Gardner Aviation Insurance. Shannon Ennis in the 1967 Cessna 172H model. Edward Smith, 1952 Cessna 170 Bravo. Jerry Clemens in the 2008 Aviat A1C. And John Luton in another Husky, 1991 model. That's your backcountry class coming at you in just a second here in Virginia Beach.
Champ was post L Bird.
Oh, okay, there we go. It wasn't. I didn't mean to send you a trick question. Here's Shannon now digging the tail in. He's going to have to pay for that later, probably, right?
We play Stump the Zach all the time. It's actually one of the things we get to enjoy here at the museum. Zach's knowledge of aviation history is absolutely remarkable. A P-47 nerd, if ever there was one. He's got a tattoo on his arm to prove it that he got on his 47th birthday.
I don't even know what to say.
It does have a little secret. So this is Jerry Clemens giving it the beans. Tail super high. He's going for it. Up, perfect, and away he goes.
Way to spend your time bronze sculpting. The secret is not a tail hook, for those of you that are wondering.
All right, now I want to send it down to our friend Reese Dockhand in the fan zone with Brandon Korn.
Well, John's getting closer, and I've just been working and tuning on the engine. And yesterday the wind was just too turbulent for me to put anything down good, but I'll tighten it up today.
Number 66 coming in the 170 Bravo. Made famous on our circuit by Jeff Pohl and Dirty Bird and Micah Lindstrom. And their good-natured smack talk kind of missed them here, but they're both working on projects. Whoop, holding it off there for Ed Smith. Good over the line, but he's going to give up a lot. But it's better to save it and get on the board than scratch. First takeoff for Jerry Clemens, 111 feet. Oh, I jinxed it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to wait. We're going to wait for it to happen. Hit burbles and various turbulence and rotor off the trees. A little bit of a backfire action and some bouncing. That's a little exciting. There we go. Getting it stopped for John Luton. A whole handful of them. Thanks for coming, folks. That's awesome. We had someone from Swampsville drive 9 hours to watch the competition there. Here's Shannon Ennis holding it.
It is a lot of work. Absolutely. So you know he's put in a lot of effort on keeping that airplane as beautiful and shiny as it is.
Okay, Jerry. Mow the lawn for him. Here we go. Up in the air.
You know, they've showed up on Wednesday, began the setup. It's amazing to see the kind of traveling road show pull into town. Ryan joked yesterday that he's a bit of a carny at this point.
Here's John Luton now. Off the runway briefly here to try to fix a potential mechanical issue he's got. Good over the line. Now he's got to get heavy on the brakes. He's got that yoke full back. Even though he's not flying anymore.
There is just a little hint of salt in the air today, which is kind of a treat, really.
Yeah, would this be considered a sea breeze today? Are we close enough that it's a sea breeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my official meteorological opinion as a museum director, but yes, pretty amazing to see with some of these landings.
Here's Jerry Clemens. Listen for it. That's not supposed to sound like that. And a close one there. Little sporty for John Luton, but he kept it off. Shannon Ennis now on the line. 1967 Cessna 172. Best takeoff, 243. Can he beat it? I think he did. That's one of those names, if you know, you know. Crew chief for Steve Henry. There's Ed Smith off. Ooh, textbook there. There is a prize for pilots who are the most consistent. Getting that tail nice and high. Says he's listening. I think he's listening for that beta thrust. Check out Robbie's work, AirTech Coatings. Here's Shannon Ennis now, heavy on the brakes. That's a new thing for a new pilot. That's also hard to get used to, is just stomping on him. And Jeff Daly, one of our competitors, saying, "What a beautiful venue. I'm totally bummed to miss this one specifically."
Well, we appreciate the kind words about the venue, and we're hoping that the support base continues to grow for National STOL.
Giving it a little throttle there. A little bit more. Good over the line. And really,
possibly compete as well. So there will be more information on that forthcoming, but at the present time, the closest places to fly in your aircraft to visit the museum are Chesapeake and the Hampton Roads Executive Airports. You can make arrangements to travel over here to visit.
And so that's a big reason to buy one if you're interested. And I think you should check it out. Here's Shannon Ennis now in the 172 with his final run of the day. Ed Smith, number 66. His best 212. Here he goes. Getting that tail high. Nice. Bursts of power. He's got to hold it off. Hold it off, Shannon. Oh, the blue flag. Having the 172 is like over 40,000 of them built. There's a good chance if you're a pilot, you trained in one, or if you want to become a pilot, you'll train in what Shannon is flying. And so love that reverse pitch.
You get a chance to see the Storch. You'll see some of those devices up close. You'll see you'll see leading edge slats all down the forward edge of the wing.
All right, let's wrap up the backcountry class presented by Ladd Gardner Aviation Insurance.
In fourth place, with a combined score of 589, Shannon Ennis. Round of applause for Shannon. In third place, with a combined score of 435 feet, it's Ed Smith. We're narrowing it down here. In second place, with a combined score of 291 feet, in a Husky, that doesn't narrow it down, John Luton. And in first place, with a combined score of 232 feet, Jerry Clemens. Jerry, we were talking in the booth about the reverse pitch propeller, and I teed it up as this big surprise, and then the first run you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how flying was today.
Oh, actually, it was easier yesterday. You would think it wouldn't be, but you've got these kind of smooth conditions, but you get over those trees and it just lights you up, and kind of need to calm your nerves a little bit. For me, that's what I need to do.
So, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, the conditions yesterday were sporty. Would that be fair to say? But a heavy crosswind, and you're saying that might actually have been easier than today?
Oh, absolutely.
Very good. There we go. I knew it. That's why you guys are the best bush pilots in the country.
And it's time for the touring class. Race number 30 in a 1963 Cessna 205 from Gauss, Texas. It's Brandon Korn. Next up, race number 59 in a 1959 Cessna 182 Bravo model from Gallatin, Tennessee. It's James Abbott, everybody. Here comes race 489 in a 1958 Cessna 182 Alpha model from Eagle, Colorado, everybody. It's Jason Brown. And rounding out the first heat of the heavies, race 307, 1964 Cessna 182 from Pinedale, Wyoming. It's John Douglas. Get on the grass with the tower off in the distance. It feels at home there. Here's Brandon Korn now taking off for the first run. That 205 is loud. Touring national champion. Next up, James Abbott. 1959 Cessna 182 from Tennessee. Digging that tail in. Relatively shorter amount of time flying. He's been a private pilot since March of 2021. So who knows what that is? I imagine we'll find out in the season to come. Here's John Douglas on the roll. Grabbing that bite. These airplanes are so big. Flying a little bit there. Brandon Korn now over the line. It's good. Just dropping it in on those gear. He's not afraid to do it. That's why he's the champion. The L4 Long Ranger and the Hind. He's actually flown a Hind. Here he comes over the line now. Very gracefully down on the ground. That's James Abbott. Jason Brown now. And it's so fun to think about that when you compare it to the other aircraft he's competing against outside of his class. John Douglas now just over the line. Lexi says it's good. That was a great one for accuracy. Now he's just got to get it stopped. That yoke full back. Call confirmed for John Douglas. That might be the landing of the day right there on the line.
Fellows are spending a few $1,000s to get a $200 jacket. But woo!
Giving it the beans. Pulling back. And that right main hung on just a little bit longer, but it looked like it was timed pretty well. And that was a nice and short one there for Jason Brown. Flaps preset. Stick back. Yoke back, technically. And a nice clean one for John Douglas, hovering that 205 in. That was insane. Brandon Korn is out for blood.
Oh, today's a lot different than yesterday. Yesterday was pretty heavy crosswinds and all of that. But it's odd. It seems pretty smooth, but when you get over those trees, and it was fun.
And you're kind of leaving a legacy with Clemens Insurance, and your kids are actually involved in the industry.
Oh yeah, we have and this air race has continued, and so this is her first year. She's going to be part of this air race across the country, and so that's kind of fun.
Absolutely incredible. We'd love to see the demographic grow in the women's division, but what can you tell me about the crowd here on site?
Oh, especially for the first time. I mean, look at that crowd. My gosh, I was so surprised to see so many people here.
James Abbott yet to get on the board. Hopefully third try's charm for him. Here's Brandon Korn now. Digging that tail in. The museum staff will have a little bit of work to do to replace those divots, I think. Well-timed and graceful takeoff. Closer than that, about 40 some odd feet. And that was a nice one for Jason Brown. He's ready to go. Rip Shandell, we saw some sporty, exciting landings from him yesterday. And Steve Hill in a 180 Juliet model. There's John Douglas getting it into the sky. Reese Dockhand with Ed Smith at the museum.
So I just brought it in on the stall horn the first 2 heats. I think I scratched one of those times. The air boss let me stop, shut down, and fix it on the fly, and then hop back in. It worked for the second 2 heats, which helped me out a lot. I've just got the stock 0300. Some of these guys got, I think Shannon's pushing 180 horsepower. John and Jerry are pushing at least 200 horsepower, and we're all in the same weight class. Work on my plane this year, new cylinders and all kinds of stuff. But new size fuel senders help me keep me light out here.
For us, they're out of Colorado, Oklahoma, and Georgia. Here's Brandon Korn. Final lap. It came off the ground, but it did settle back down a little bit. A little bit of backfiring action there, but that's all right. He's full throttle. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you, USA Trailers Direct. John Douglas on the roll, pulling back on that yoke, and away he goes.
Yeah, my brother's a mechanic over in the fighter factory at the end of the runway where our planes are parked, and he's working on a Corsair right now, I believe.
So your local flying field is just around the corner?
Yeah, it's about 5 miles away. We're at Chesapeake.
Thanks so much, Reese, and we're back with a great landing from James Abbott. Brandon Korn came in full of fire and thunder. The STOL event in Pinedale, Wyoming, and he is down short with a scratch, so that'll be the end of the day for him as well. That's your first heat in a 1965 Piper Cherokee 180 from Ocala, Florida. It's Jeff Abrams. Here comes race number 10 in a 1978 Mall M5 from Omaha, Nebraska. It's John McCardle. Race 947, 947, 1954 Cessna 180 from Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's one of your locals. Give him a cheer. Rip Shandell. Cessna 180. It's race 51, 1976 to be specific. Cessna 180 Juliet model from Greenwood, South Carolina. It's Steve Hill. Maybe a checkered flag, or maybe it's a Piperzilla flag. I've gotten one of those before. Looks like he's been released. We've got a green flag. Doesn't have the advantage of the angle of attack that the other airplanes have, but look at him bring it into the air. Taking a big bite of angle of attack. He's off short. Rip Shandell. Planes. Flies on the weekends with his wife and his golden retriever that's named Pungo. Here's Steve Hill from Greenwood, South Carolina. I don't know if that plane could maybe be louder. He's going. Look at that. Just as he's off, look who's here to say hello. Jeff Abrams and Piperzilla just sliding on those brakes that offer prize considerations for all of our pilots. They're all actually competing for prize packages. Good over the line for John McCardle, bouncing it in, getting those brakes locked up, keeping that tail down. Keep that tail down, John. There we go. He's got it stopped.
Than the deck of the USS Hornet, which is the carrier that the Doolittle Raiders and their B-25 launched from.
Different kind of STOL, but maybe a little similar in terms of the co-pilot rated in a B-25 and a DC-7. That was a pretty healthy scratch for Steve Hill. Scoring, though, is very tight there. If you look at where John McCardle is compared to the next competitor, he's only 10 feet behind the next competitor, who's only 20 feet behind the next competitor. So tail nice and high. Whoa, whoa, giving it mowing the lawn a little bit there, McCardle. I love the 180 separately. Might be one of my dream planes. So much utility. Not quite ready to fly for Steve Hill there. Now he's off the ground. Look
We're
at
here
that.
with
He's
Brandon Korn. Brandon Korn, man, you are always one of my favorites. Can I have a favorite? You're just a great personality. You're doing a lot to this airplane. Let's talk about what was it like in that cockpit when you had that little wingtip dip.
Man, that thing gave out on me coming off, and yes, where you have to travel a long distance, you'll see that we have more touring planes than anything. So they're a great airplane, but you know, I want a Cub.
Is it for the competition? You want to get a little bit shorter in the distance? You want to go have some more fun in the backcountry?
I'm going to use it for both.
And at least currently, based on the scores in front of me, John McCardle now in first place. Rip Chandel getting that tail up as he's heavy on the brakes. Looking like a scratch for Rip Chandel, by the way. There's Steve Hill over the line, also a scratch. Asian Coffee Company, and I've actually been drinking their coffee all day. That's why I'm so wired up. Legendary Aviation Coffee Company. It's never bitter. The giant Brandon Korn getting that tail up. Knees off. I'm hearing from he maybe does know because he's been given a text or a WhatsApp message, but he shouldn't know. Here's Rip Chandel ripping the polished 180, really tearing up the circuit. And
I'd planned on using the first two approaches as a practice because I didn't get to practice yesterday, and I got a stupid grin on my face because it's so much fun, but unpleased with my performance today. But I think I got at least one good run in, and it's really exciting in this class this time. Really enjoying it. But it definitely got in our blood at a young age, and it's all we ever wanted to do. And we were fortunate enough to make our dream come true, make a living at it, and now we're out here doing it for fun. So it's been really great.
It's an amazing thing to get the youth out and involved. What are some advice that you can give to the parents or the kids that are watching this back at home?
Get out to your local airport. Look up any EAA chapter.
Well, thanks for being a great steward of the sport. Jeff Abrams, one of the most seasoned pilot in the Young Eagles, flying over like 500 pilots, an insane representative of our culture. And we are going to kick it back to you, Ryan, so you can share more.
Steve Hill yet to get on the board, actually. So hopefully he'll do that now. Good over the line for Steve Hill. Now he's just got to get it stopped. Look at those wheels. Those tires are totally locked up. Just sliding on that rubber.
100% certain, but I feel like some 180s were used by Air America pilots in Vietnam for some of that liaison type work.
No one's invented that yet. Here's John McCardle now. Tail very high. Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
All right. Yeah, we're just mowing the lawn there, John McCardle. That's cool. Really. Here's Steve Hill now, the final run of the touring class. I think I'm hearing it fire up.
Yeah.
I think there's something special coming soon. There's Piper Zilla on the ground.
All the Warbird types, beyond the liaison type airplanes in the collection, probably has the best STOL type performance
of the standings. You know, we just saw Jeff Abrams on that fourth run putting in 518 feet. There's nothing to sneeze at.
Yep.
And a scratch. Little bit of Warbird action for you here at Heritage STOL. In first place, John McCardle with a best run of 306. Brandon Korn, best score of 357. Jason Brown, 422. John Douglas, 443. Jeff Abrams, 518. Steve Hill, 541 feet combined. James Abbott with 555. And Rip Shandell bringing up the rear.
In third place, with a combined score of 422 feet. Everyone give it up for Jason Brown. With a combined score of 357 feet, Brandon Korn. And in first place, with a combined score of 306 feet, everyone give it up for John McCardle. John, here, step over here for a second. John, talk to me a little bit about how it was out there today.
First off, I have to say happy birthday to my mom. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mom.
But it's a little weird. It's kind of like the wind picked up at the very end, so I felt like I was floating on my landing, so I kept dropping the flaps to hit the line. I knew my takeoffs were going to be around 130, 140, so I figured if I got it under 200, I should be able to win.
So while you were flying, Reese interviewed Brandon, and he said, what's John got to do? So it was takeoffs are shorter than mine, so he was watching. But he's like, you just got to tighten up the landing, as if on cue, you're like, bam, here's a short one. Talk to me a little bit about the friendship rivalry with Mr. Korn.
Yeah, so I met Brandon a while ago when I was basically in the rookie class, and watching him dominate, it's good to finally give him a run for money. I think the rivalry is going to be really good, make it more entertaining, but he's never getting the belt back.
That's fighting words from John McCardle. You got any response to that?
Well, I'll be working when I get back home. Don't worry.
Well, that concludes the touring class. Sport class is coming up, but first, a word from our sponsors, and then check out that awesome warbird we're going to see in the sky in just a second.
Well, chalk this one up for the National STOL history books. I don't think we've ever had anything like this before.
I'm geeking out. I've got to take a picture myself. This is just too cool.
And away he goes. That is no problem for the Wildcat from Athens, Tennessee. Started flying in the early 90s. It says here on our little magic sheet that he has approximately 3,000 hours of flight time. And his favorite activity of all of that, whoo! Sorry, I'm here rambling. He's already in the air. Giving it full throttle, tail in the sky. And he's off. Now we still don't have a ton of wind. Whoa, okay, nice.
All right, aircraft in those magazines, like how I do today.
Ed Boyd coming in there. I don't know if you could hear the in the Legend. Good over the line, giving up maybe 50 feet, but again, trying to be safe. And I don't mean safe. Good over the line as well, dropping it in. Getting a little inspiration from Brandon Korn, maybe. Especially they've been flying over all weekend. People don't realize how much bigger they are. There is Ed Boyd. Got that right main off.
That new engine sounds pretty hefty.
At a full-size one, it's big. Here's Ed Boyd now over the line. It's good. He's just got to get it stopped. So for him, Cam, I think it's going to be here. Let's let Daryl land, and I have a question for you. So here comes Daryl now. Good over the line. Same feedback, backseat piloting from me. Now he's got to get it closer to the line. We're giving up too much footage.
Beyond that, I would just reach out to the coordinators for the events that you want to go to and let them know that you're getting into aviation or getting into aviation photography, and that's what you want to do. You want to be a part of the team.
Reach out and touch someone. We got all these competitors watching right now. That's so cool. We can't wait to see you guys on the circuit. Miss you too, Jeff. There's Ed Boyd. And thanks for telling your friends about it. We are so happy to have you here sharing our love of aviation. Here's Daryl Hickman now. Can't wait to watch all the events, and now I'll probably have to purchase a tail dragger. You know what? Come fly your Archer, too. That's fine. Let's get in there, Joe. All right. We got a nice bounce over the line for Ed Boyd. New for National STOL, and let's watch Daryl come in right now. He's good over the line. Again, got to get it just tighter to the line. A more accurate approach would help Daryl a lot, but he's MOAC after MOAC after MOAC. Here's Justin. Nice steep descent. So we're getting ready for the final lap of the first heat of sport class. They can be really aggressively paired with horsepower. And so think about how long the takeoffs were earlier today and how much shorter they are now in this class. But that puts an interesting little pregame for the second heat. Here's Justin now digging that ballast into the grass.
Brandon Korn, I'm sorry, you just wiped the tears out of your eyes. I know it's tough to take second place, but walk me through that.
Well, you know, I've been holding on to the lead and been pretty solid at every event, but a lot of these guys have just been getting better and better and better, and I coach them along and try to help them out, but I got beat by 50 feet, and now I got to go home and put the work in again.
John McCardle came in as a rookie last year. He did get a lot of coaching. Maybe you helped him out a little too much.
No, it's not like that here. Everybody helps everybody. We want it to be competitive, and you know, I want to come back and beat him.
That 205 is an absolute monster. There's some things that you got done to it to give it that competitive edge.
We poured it and polished the cylinders, got an MT prop on it, MT tail skid. I would like to make them all. There's a few of them that are out there pretty far, and I'll just have to get back home and see what I can do. But I'm definitely going to be in contention for the championship.
That second place is definitely going to fire you up. Thank you so much for being out here. Good luck in the next ones, and back to you, Ryan.
So last in Swamp STOL, I'll wait for Justin. Here we go. Good over the line. Rocking back and forth on those massive tires. We got the flag is green from Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. Check this thing out. It's called Hee Haw. TK1 shocks, T3 tail, Yamaha Apex. Again, raced at Reno for the last 10 years in sport class. This aircraft was built by his father-in-law and his wife, Jackie. He's getting off the ground there a little bit over 230 feet minimal, but he wants every knot over him. Look, we're actually on board with him right now. Watch him, hand on the flap panel, drops the flaps right into the air. Now he's going to nurse those flaps off. Man, you put the pressure on Pat, Cam.
I know.
Okay, Dennis Rowe now. Low, keeping that low approach, and a very early touchdown. Really close on the line. Lexi's not sure. We're going to have to go back to replay. Andrew put in more practice than... What? Pat, what are you even doing? Dennis Rowe up in the sky, number 57. Everyone's got their work cut out for them. Tail up for Andrew. And it's off. Waiting for the air boss to say, go ahead. Full throttle, nose way down, and he's up.
Flew to Sun and Fun. It was about a 3-day ordeal with the weather, and then we flew the coast and came up here to Heritage. So it was a good time. I want to say thank you to Quincy for hosting me and doing everything. Yeah, Brandon and Bill, Mr. Bill, we all went up to Kitty Hawk, flew down the beach. It was a lot lot of good flight footage coming out too. But it was one of the funnest things ever. We went to the first flight museum, got to see where it all kind of started, and now we're just kind of hoping maybe we do this one and one there. It'd be a lot of fun to say, hey, from where it started to now STOL, it'd be a heck of a deal. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. These guys opening the doors to us. Thanks to them, the tours, getting to see all these military aircraft out here, and just some of the best hosts. Keegan, if you're out here, brother, thanks for everything you guys and your volunteer crew are doing. We appreciate you. Dude, hit up nationalstol.com and go and look at the volunteer link and sign up.
And if you're on the Microsoft Sim, you should definitely check that out. We're going to go back down to the action. Back to you, Ryan.
Here goes Dennis Rowe. Before the line, the main's hitting right after it. And look, an 88-foot landing there for Pat McIntyre. Here's Andrew Findlay now on the roll and up into the sky.
Real happy to see that aircraft performing how it does. And the guy sitting inside of it is a very cool person.
I think he's probably gonna take it. He's got a little more experience. As I'm still learning the ropes, and I'm getting the feel for it, and can see some of the mods some of the guys are making, and getting some better brakes and a few things like that.
Well, you caught us mid-interview with Edward. He's got the beautiful blue carbon Cub. He's talking about the Zenith being a little bit more of a challenge. Now, what are some things that you can do to take it to the next level?
As I just mentioned, I need better brakes, and maybe I'm not challenging myself as much as I probably could, because I think if you just don't scratch and get on the board, then that looks better.
Just get it across the line. At the end of the day, you got to get points on the board, and then you can do a lot of modifications, but at the end of the day, it is the practice inside the airplane that's going to make the most difference.
A lot of those guys went over there, and it was my 30th wedding anniversary, and I wanted to stay married, and I didn't go. And so another time I had gotten.
It's been one heck of a weekend, and we've seen everything from Warbirds to big 205s all the way down to little Kit Fox Series 5s. There's Andrew Findlay taking off right now. And a little bit of a gauntlet drop in the chat. Dan Reynolds. Let's watch Pat, and then I'll show you the look at that. Just leaping into the air. Dan Reynolds, by the way, one to watch, had a landing. We did have a little bit of wind. There's Dennis Rowe keeping that balance. There you go, down around 150 some odd feet. Here's Andrew Findlay now, coming in a little hot, but look, he's working those brakes. They're all shimmy shaking on the Kit Fox there. Excellent for Pat. Holding it off. Look at that. Actually, his first run still holding the line with 155 feet. Here's how the sport class ended up for you in first class with a best run of 155 feet. Pat McIntyre, Ed Boyd in second place, 249. Dennis Rowe, 255. Justin Tisdale just 3 feet out of third place with 258. Daryl Hickman, 282. Andrew Findlay with a best score of 256 feet combined. Let's take a short break. Cam Walton on the mic with me. Cam, thank you so much for joining me, man. It's great. One of the best treats of being involved in National STOL has been getting to know you and hang out with you, and it's been awesome. So we'll be right back down with the planes.
Let's give a round of applause to the sport class pilots right here. And we had an amazing race. I want to make special mention. Things got tight in a lot of places here. Let's run through the scores. In third place, only 3 feet in front of fourth place, with a combined score of 255, Dennis Rowe.
Come on, Dennis. All right, boys.
With a combined score of 249 feet. Everyone give a round of applause to Ed Boyd. And Cam was rooting for you in the booth, Pat. Combined score of 155. He manifested it for you. Everyone, round of applause. First place, Pat McIntyre. Pat, come on over here, man. So, first of all, last year compared to this year, you've made a lot of changes, both you and the plane. What made a bigger difference today?
Yeah, I just quit flying so poorly.
that helped the most.
No, but put in a lot of practice and then some modifications of the aircraft as well.
Yeah, I changed a lot on my airplane. Bigger engine this year than I had, which made enormous difference. And I continue to modify my plane. I hope to have 3 or 4 new mods by the next competition. And then, for me, I mean, the landings are just practice, which takes a lot.
I mean, we saw like a textbook beautiful one. You had the tail down before the line, mains hit right by the line. How much of that is skill and how much, teach me, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, there's not a lot of wind today, but it was really kind of rocking my wings and pushing me around, even though the wind wasn't real high. But I was kind of having a hard time really getting as slow as I wanted, and then it would kind of drop out a little bit. So I felt like, I know the landing you're talking about, but I felt like it was more lucky just because I goosed it to get up there.
Sometimes it's a little bit of both.
I'll take it.
Dude, thank you so much. Great flying today. Round of applause to all the sport competitors, and a round of applause to all of you here in Virginia Beach at the Military Aviation Museum. This has been an awesome day. It's one for the books. We can't wait to come back next year. Make sure to check out the museum, check everything else out. Again, my name's Ryan Dabrowski. It has been awesome on behalf of everyone at National STOL. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next year.
Welcome to the 2024 Heritage STOL program, hosted by the Military Aviation Museum, Virginia Beach, which is the #2 attraction, according to TripAdvisor, of over 160 things to do. We are because this is a living history museum. Most of the vehicles and airplanes that you'll see throughout your walking around the museum still work. Most of our planes still fly, not all of them, but most of them. And since the museum first opened the first week of May in 2008, we have brought so many wonderful guests and children here. We like to turn the kids on to history. We even do summer camps for them on a variety of topics. This building is, when people come in, we have them self-guide around. There are all sorts of airplanes in each of the hangars on either end, and upstairs in the museum, wow, there's a lot more stuff up there. We have an Enigma machine that the Germans used in World War II to encode their ciphers. And we have several of our volunteers, oh my gosh, they've been working for over 2 years restoring an original Link pilot trainer from World War II. So there's just absolutely so much here for guests to see. In addition to the main building here, there are 3 additional buildings on the property. 2 of them were actually in World War II. Wow. We have a hangar the Germans put up at the Cottbus Airfield in 1934. They used it to support a flight school and the expansion of the Luftwaffe. By the end of the war, they were building Focke-Wulf fighters at that airfield because the Americans and Brits had bombed most of the factories in industrial areas. When we took that building down, pretty exciting, we found bullet holes from Soviet tanks in one of the beams. They overran that airfield on the way to Berlin in 1945. And we also found graffiti from a concentration camp slave laborer forced to work in that building. The second original building, I think, is the gem of the museum. We have the control tower from the very first airfield in England that the British turned over to the Americans 7 months after Pearl Harbor. It was such a big deal that General Eisenhower actually flew up from London to attend the ceremony and shake hands with Air Marshal Portal on the transfer. So just very, very neat stuff. We brought that building over basically brick by brick, and it's full of antiques and so forth. It's just absolutely incredible. Best preserved one probably in the world. And the third building we have down there is a hangar. It's a reproduction of a British aero shed from 1918. It's full of all of our World War I airplanes, and we generally do guided tours to those 3 buildings so people can get a better historical perspective on what we have down here. The museum has so much to offer. Once you start going around, you'll see why we're #2 on TripAdvisor, but thank you very much for coming today.